Good morning, good-looking people. And you're good-looking because you're always looking, and of course, you're finding the good in everything. How was your weekend going? How is Shabbos? Hope everything's well. Today we're going to talk about the 5th of Tamuz, which was yesterday. And this Hayom Yom is really complex. It has a lot. I'm really going to try to keep it simple today because this can go on for at least a half hour. But ultimately, what we're doing today is we're creating a partnership with Hashem. And who better to be a partner with than with Hashem, because you know for sure He's going to come through for you every time. And what we're doing today is we're talking about creating that partnership through Torah and mitzvahs. So let's read the Hayom Yom, and then we'll talk about the message and some cool things from the background of today's Hayom Yom. 1. Once in the course of Yechidus, the Alter Rebbe questioned one of his foremost and closest Hasidim about his personal situation. The Chassid lamented that he had lost all his possessions. The Alter Rebbe answered him, "You are needed to illuminate your surroundings by studying Torah and serving Hashem with your heart, which is davening. As far as your livelihood and the things that you need, this Hashem must give you. Do what you must, and Hashem will do what He must." So essentially, it's connecting to what we talked about on Friday about creating the environment, creating that energy by doing Torah and mitzvahs. One person can affect all the affairs for the whole city. That's what we talked about on Friday. And what today's Hayom Yom is talking about that, look, we are dependent on Hashem. This Hayom Yom has to do with Parshas Chukas. It talks about the desert, in the period of the desert, why Hashem walked us through the desert, that Hashem wants us to depend on Him for all our financial needs, all our material needs. He could have walked us through a lavish forest with lots of sustenance, but that's not what He did. He gave us a desert, He gave us a dependency on the manna, that we need to depend on Hashem. And really, the ultimate message of today is we're creating an IOU from Hashem. Who better than to have a guarantee from than God? That's the ultimate. That when we do our Torah mitzvahs, we are forcing the hand of Hashem that He must take care of us. Now, a little bit of background, which is pretty cool for the Hayom Yom. It is the 5th of Tamuz, and the 5th of Tamuz is actually the date in history when Yecheskel in Tanakh had a dream about the Merkava. We're not going to talk about the whole Merkava right now. It's not the place. But really, it was an essential dream, and it's a beautiful dream, and it's something that it's actually the Haftorah that we read about on Shavuos, that Hashem gave us the Torah, and we talk about on Shavuos, we read the portion of Yecheskel. And the idea is that not only on Shavuos, in the time of giving, do we have these illuminations and dreams that, like Yecheskel out of the Merkava and the ultimate redemption, that it happens all the time. Hashem is with us all the time. We don't have to wait for a special event like Shavuos, that Hashem is with us. He is here, and we can channel, and by doing our part, Hashem must do His part. And lastly, we talk about the month of Tamuz, not to go into too deep of Kabbalah, but it talks about there's different sources of lights and different ways that the sun shines, and the month of Tamuz is actually channeling the light of the scorpion, which is known as the Sartan. And essentially what's happening is the sun is shining more, and we're illuminating more in the month of Tammuz. So we have this ability to enlighten our environment by bringing down more energy. And that's also about the month of Tammuz. So to follow up and to round up here is that essentially we must do good things. We must do our Torah, we must do our mitzvahs, and we must have bitachon that when we do our part, Hashem will do His part, and we will have a successful and a very prosperous week, month, and year. Amen.